Keep going down this street, about 2 blocks. It's on the right. You can't miss it. You better hurry now.
A hospital?
Yes, what is it? What in the world are you doing?
I don't know. This man just told me
There wasn't time to wonder over this strange turn of events. She hurried down the street toward what she had been told was a hospital.
Of course, as soon as I came in to the admittance desk, they admitted me because I probably looked as sick as I felt.
Doctor! Somebody help me! Take it to the yard.
It wasn't very much later that I was in surgery and had the appendix removed. My doctor afterward told me that I was very fortunate that I came in when I did, that I'd gotten there just in time, that the appendix was red hot and just about to rupture. If I hadn't listened to my inner voice, I probably would have had to undergo a lot of suffering and possibly death. I do feel that something made me get off the train.
Was it her guardian angel that convinced Eunice Barrow to get off the train? Or could it have been some unrecognized physical response, sending an urgent message to the brain? But if it's the latter, where did the service station attendant come from who directed her to the hospital? More important, perhaps, where did he go? The great difficulty, of course, in trying to investigate the nature of angels is the lack of corroboration and the fact that there is such a wide variety of experiences. Does the New Testament support the Old Testament view of angels? Are there events that are shared by 2 or more people? Has there ever been an angelic event where 2 people who didn't know each other, had never met, and lived hundreds of miles apart shared the same experience?
The problem I have with these stories is there's no one really around to verify what's being said. I don't think they're lying. It's just that you get into stressful situations and you don't know what's going on. You're confused, and then the problem passes, and it's easy to credit God or luck or an angel.
Would multiple witnesses prove that angels do indeed intervene in ordinary lives? For those who have had the experience, the notion that angels are constantly among us is simply not a matter of dispute. But what does it do to the notion of angelic intervention when nothing is actually seen, yet a single life-saving event is still witnessed by an entire family? All of us at one time or another have experienced the intrusion of a still small voice into our thoughts. But what if the voice was neither still nor small, and definitely not in our thoughts?
Dad had a new muzzle loader.
Jim Bilbrey's father liked to collect and fire old-style muzzle loaders. And like fathers and grandfathers everywhere, he liked to share his passion with his children and his grandchildren.
So he had this new one, and he wanted to show it to us. Well, he showed the boys how you put the gunpowder in, you measure it, stick it in. You put the patch and the ball in there, shove it on down. Then he'd set this primer cap at the trigger mechanism where he'd drill a little hole in there or make the hole bigger and clean, and then he'd take it outside and fire it. So he had this new one, and he wanted to show it to us. My little daughter Carissa, she's about 5 at the time. Jeremy was probably 9 and Jason was 12. About 70 feet up the hill, he'd had set up a target. The target was made from an old box that had held a toy, and he'd flattened it out and put it up there. And Dad says, I need a bullseye for the target.
I got something. Hold on. Look at that right there.
I said, well, I got a business card, and I fished out a business card out of my pocket.
Put that on the target. Shoot it down. That'd work.
Went on up the hill and stuck it on the target, which was setting against a small tree stump. A rotten tree stump.
This was not the first time Jim's family had seen this demonstration, but each time his dad fired his muzzle loader, Jim was impressed with his shooting skill.
So he aims, and the boys just, they're holding their ears. He pulls the trigger, and the ball went boom.
He couldn't remember ever seeing him miss his target.
Shot through the air, hit the target, blew through it, blew apart part of the stump behind it, and ran through several saplings. It was an amazing amount of power for something so primitive. I couldn't believe it. And Dad said, well, I got one more ball to shoot. Who wants to try it now? Dad was good that way. He would let us learn by doing. He showed them how to clean out the rifle, how to measure out the gunpowder so you had just the right amount, pour it in neatly, and put the patch and the ball, and ram it down in there again. And we stood there, and Dad got ready. None of us thought about the fact that Carissa wasn't around. We figured she'd gotten bored. He put his finger on the trigger. Dad had the target lined up. Things got quiet. Suddenly, from behind us came a wall of sound. It was a voice, but none of us had said it. It had presence. It pushed against us. And Dad took his finger off the trigger, and out from behind the target stepped Carissa. She had been, she said, looking through a hole in the target. Her head was where the bullseye was. The next bullet would have gone through there. And my knees just turned to water. Dad turned pale. The rifle came down. Automatically, we knew instantly what would have happened to her if she hadn't stepped out from behind the target, or if the voice hadn't happened. It was a miracle that my little girl was not dead. She would have been gone. We wouldn't have had Carissa anymore.
What was the sound the Bilberys heard? Who called out to them in a voice like thunder and gave them the sense of danger? Everyone present that day heard the voice. But there's another question that should be addressed. Are there other angelic responsibilities beyond rescuing or protecting someone?
The role of angels is not fully defined for human beings. They are protectors. They are the ones who bring God's message of hope to man. They are the ones who are curious about the process of redemption. Peter says they earnestly desire to understand the whole process of redemption. Let's put it this way. Angels watch the development of men as they follow the will of the Lord. Men who are born sinners, men who don't deserve anything but judgment, are through the redeeming blood of Christ brought into the kingdom of heaven. As Peter describes it, angels watch this process with great curiosity. I think angels are learners as well as protectors.
Still, the stories we hear most are those that involve some kind of life-saving intervention. For example, this next remarkable event occurred in complete silence. But the angelic presence was both seen and felt, and attested to by both mother and daughter.
My daughter Shannon was 3 years old when her stepfather and I married. We moved into a small 2-bedroom house in Angleton and became a very close family in a very short time.
Okay, ready for bed? Let's go. Give Dad a hug and a kiss.
One evening, I put Shannon to bed at her usual time, and shortly thereafter, David and I went to bed. I checked on her before we went to bed, and everything seemed fine.